think of DVD as a character? Like, did you like him? Did you think that he was a snake? What did you think?
I thought he was a snake. I feel like
Mm.
that's what he was. He was a snake. That was the whole point of his character, was to be a snake. But like, feel like you should never put your finger down on him. Like, you can never truly characterize him. And I don't know whether that was good writing or bad writing. Um, I didn't like the little thing that he had with Harper. It was inevitable. As soon as they introduced his character, I was
Oh
like,
my
him and Harper are gonna have a thing.
gosh.
Anyway, I was like, they're gonna have a thing. Like that's just it was so clear. Um, but yeah, he seemed a bit too smarmy and snaky and
Hmm.
just yeah, I didn't like him.
He was definitely like supposed to be like the Drake character, almost like that kind of character who's like young, corny, you know,
Yes.
he's trying to act like he's cool, but it's very clear that he grew up around white people his whole life, so he does not know what it means to be cool, what it means to have swagger, not really. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to see his dynamic with Bill Adler and with Eric because Eric is very clearly like jealous and insecure of the fact that DVD is kind of like encroaching on his territory because he
Hmm.
trained him and he taught him all this stuff, and now like DVD is kind of like almost coming in to his space where he seems to be a threat. And Eric does not like that. He does not like new, young, shiny things that are going to take away, you know, his kingdom, so to speak. And I think that we also see that with Harper and how she's doing better and how she's succeeding. You know, like Eric does not like the fact that she is like moving from under his wing and outside of his tutelage because like he wants her to grow, but at the pace that he wants her to, where she still relies on him and still needs him. And he doesn't like the fact that she's like venturing out on her own and trying to like
Yeah.
catch a bigger fish.
And I feel like Eric resents the fact that Harper was kind of partly, it was mainly Eric's fault, but she was partly involved in why he lost Phelan as his main client. And
Mm.
then now seeing Harper with Jesse Bloom as like her main client now and her having like the biggest client on the desk. I think he's definitely jealous of her in that. Why is she now successful when I've lost my big client? And like Eric, throughout the rest of the show, he never gains a big client again, like he had with Phelan. So I definitely think there's so much animosity between them. And also the fact that Harper initially like tried to get him fired, but she raised the complaint against him. So there's always going to be that he can't really trust her like he did before.
Yeah, and I feel like he knows that he can't fully trust her because he pushed her to remove the complaint, you know, so that she would
Mhm.
stay at Pierpoint under his tutelage because he knew that she wanted to be under him more than she wanted to be under Daria and like under
Yeah.
Sarah, you know what I mean? And with Phelan, I think that Eric, I'm just saying this as someone who does this job. Eric is not good at his job. You can't have one client.
Yeah. I don't think that either. I'm not in finance, obviously, but I don't
Yeah,
think, how is that a feasible portfolio to just have one client? That doesn't make sense. What if your
because
client died tomorrow? What are you going to do? This doesn't feel,
and because Phelan is rich and he has so much money, he can just keep buying things through the desk and they can just keep selling through Phelan and they can support the desk. But like how you
yeah,
really make money is to have more than one client. And I don't disagree with Eric when he got upset with Harper because if you're trying to court someone else, you also need to keep your other clients happy. You also need to keep your other clients in your good graces. And when she skipped out on that breakfast to go to Jesse's talk, I was like,
yeah,
girl, go to the breakfast, make FaceTime with the
yeah.
client, and then you go back to the hotel. You live in the same place that Jesse lives. You can have FaceTime with him whenever you want. With Phelan, you need to maintain that relationship because if he feels like you're trying to cut him out or he feels any coldness from you or he feels like you're courting someone, you're going to lose a big client while gaining a bigger client. And it's better to have two clients on the desk rather than just one because
Hmm.
honestly, rich people are fickle. They're being sold to all the time. And if it
Yeah.
was so easy for Harper to like get Jesse, not that it was easy, but like if Harper can snag up Jesse, then like what is to make you think, Harper, that he's not going to dump you or he's going to find someone else? Like, girl, have a
That was
fallback.
So that was part of my reason, like when I was saying before, like how I got a bit annoyed with Harper and Jesse's relationship in season two, and that's sort of why I stopped watching it, was because Harper kept on seeing herself as irreplaceable. He kept on
Yeah.
seeing herself as like the best salesperson for Jesse. one, Harper, you're only a year into this job. You don't have enough experience to claim that you're the best. She wasn't the best. Like she would make risky decisions. She'd never make a contingency plan, so they'd fall through. They fall through with Jesse's money. He'd get angry at her, but then she'd go like, "But I'm the best person that you have," and it just kind of annoyed me. So
It
I
was
stopped watching
literally
it.
vibes. It was like
Yeah,
she was literally relying on her confidence to
yeah,
sell to Jesse that, he could trust her. And when Eric
yeah,
was, I don't know if it was Eric or a DVD, but when she was on the call with Jesse about like buying cable or buying whatever they were buying, and she
yeah,
like screws over Rishi, Eric is like,
yeah.
Eric is like, oh, there were so many red flags I heard on that call, like you didn't pick up because you're a first year associate. Like, and in my head, I was like, yeah, like Jesse knows that Harper is new to this. He likes her ambition, but
Mhm.
like, she's not Daria. Like there are
No,
things that Harper is not picking up on and Harper is not seeing when it comes to
yeah.
Jesse. His reckless nature, like he likes that she's reckless too, so he's able to like kind of like fall back on her recklessness if something happens. But like, girl, you need
But
to think things through.
he's constantly out thinking her. And then she
Hmm.
gets tripped up and she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize he would do that." But it's like everyone around her can see. He didn't become a billionaire yesterday. He's had years with this money. He's been investing for
Yes.
years. He knows how the system works, probably more than you do, even though you're in sales. So it just felt very naive of her. And I just got annoyed.
Yeah, she is incredibly naive, and I respect the fact that she's being ruthless at her job, but like at a certain point, you really need to be. You have to be careful. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You like she just has to be careful. I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah. So I do want to touch on Robert and Yasmin, and also Gus as well. Um, Yasmin, oh my God, she wants to move into private wealth management,
Mm.
and she wants to start managing her family's money. And immediately when she said that, I was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't start managing your parents' money. Don't sign. Don't do that. You're going to
I
mess
just
up your life."
I don't get why she would, because we know, she knows, she doesn't have a good relationship with her parents. So why does she think that managing their money, it would ever turn out well? It just,
Also, I think that Yasmin, she's so arrogant. You know,
yes.
like I try very hard to try and like not hate Yasmin because I feel like there are probably a lot of industry fans that don't like the women of industry despite the fact that they love Eric and they sympathize with Robert so much. But like Yasmin, truly, sweetheart, truly, I need you to hear me when I say this. You don't know what you're doing. If you're going into a new business, you're going to a new portfolio, and you want to bring your parents' money into it, that's going to uncover a lot of things that you're not ready to see and that they're probably trying to hide from you. And
Yeah.
also, it becomes increasingly more clear as the show goes on that Yasmin only got that job because she has the Hanani name. Because you only brought in your family's money, and then when she said that, oh, we're not managing my family's money anymore, why would you think you would keep your job at
Yeah.
private wealth management? You have no other clients.
No.
You spent all this
Then she,
time running around with Celeste, running around with Maxim,
yeah.
yelling at your dad, getting upset at him, and you yelled at your dad in the restaurant, and then she got surprised when she couldn't go back into her house. I was like, girl, of course he cut you off. Of course he did. Are you stupid?
She said you weren't smart enough to separate our accounts. Like her salary goes into his account. I was like, she's in her like mid-20s at this point. I'm like, what does it mean? What does it mean you do not have your own bank account? And
What?
I was like, oh, just believe her because she's actually, yeah, that's so silly.
She's lost.
That was so silly. Like, no, she's lost. And it's like, yeah, she didn't expect him to cut her off. Yeah, I'm gonna cut you off.
So dumb, so stupid. Also, the whole thing with Yasmin and Celeste throughout season 2, I always have a very iffy feeling whenever I see like the older woman, younger woman dynamic of like the older woman
Yeah,
taking the younger woman under her wing and it turning like
yeah,
sexual, but like we
yeah,
never examine the younger woman's sexuality anyway, and it's just seen as like a dalliance. It's like
yeah,
this is not what Marsha P. Johnson fought for. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not.
yeah.
Also,
I thought it was
Celeste, what are we doing, girl?
Celeste. Anyway, Celeste is a force unto herself. But I thought like maybe it would go into a storyline about, I don't know, Yaz exploring her sexuality, like not heterosexually, but it didn't. It was just this weird power dynamic relationship. Yasmin cutting off the relationship when she realized that Celeste was married and like in an open relationship. That sort of, I was like, so there is where you draw the line. Like once she realized that she was married and in an open
She said
relationship.
that she was married before. She
Yeah,
said
she
she had a
was married
wife.
before. But then now that she said, "Oh, I'm in an open relationship and like I have to tell my wife, because we have boundaries,"
Hmm.
and Yasmin was like, "Wait, why do you have boundaries?" And it's like that is where that is where now you're getting like cold feet, not the whole time before
Mm.
when you're going out to these fancy dinners and all of this sort of stuff. It just is a bit odd.
Yeah, it didn't sit right with me. And to be quite frank, I feel like Yasmin moving with this air of importance that she did not earn is really like
Yeah.
what made me almost like guffaw during season two. Because, with a new grad at the FX desk, she really is putting Yasmin to shame. Like, she doesn't put up with the hazing. She asks like the manager director on their line about things that Yasmin would never have spoken up about. She talks
Hmm.
about like how um I think that I don't remember what happened to the new grad, but oh yeah, she met Nicole because Robert was out to dinner with Nicole and she wanted to report what happened with Nicole. And then Yasmin
Yes.
was like,
And
"Are you sure
yeah,
that happened to you? Like, are you sure
when she
you were
did that,
abused?" I was like, "Were you not just getting upset with Harper last season? Were you not
literally
just getting upset with Harper last season about the same thing? What do you mean? What's going
when
on?"
she did that, I was like, did she really change you that much? That she had no sympathy for Venetia. It just felt so,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, it's not the Yas I know. Even though the Yasmin I know is weird, she wasn't that weird. That just felt a bit too far.
Yes. And then when Kenny went upstairs and he was like, I know Yasmin was so annoyed with like all the people from FX coming up to her desk, but like, girl, I mean, like, you're making terrible decisions. And when she went off
Mhm.
on Kenny, she's like, "No, I don't want to go to your little AA meeting or whatever." And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, valid. I wouldn't want to go either. You know what I mean?
That was nothing to do with Kenny. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
valid. But that was the one instance when Kenny told her off for like brushing off Venetia and like
Hmm.
downplaying the assault. That was the one time I was like, Kenny, you're in the right. But every other time, no.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I can understand why Yasmin wanted to go to private wealth management because she doesn't want to work under Kenny anymore. She thought he was going
Yeah,
to come back, and then he returned back to the desk, and he was doing too much.
I was doing way too much.
He was trying
Oh,
too hard to like be nice, and it was just like, no, please.
yeah. And it's like when you're trying too hard to be nice, and like you could tell from the beginning that he kind of had a crush on her, but it was just too creepy.
Yeah, it was really creepy, really strange, and honestly, just like very awkward at times. He was trying really hard to be genuine, but it was also like really sad. And
Yeah,
at times I was just like, oh my God. In the back of my head, I was like, I would be fighting myself not to call him pathetic if he did that to me, to my face. At
honest,
work? Please.
honestly.
Yeah, it's really gross. It's really icky. Um Also, Yasmin, I really wish she was more like Harper in the sense of that she did go after clients for private wealth management because she has to know other rich people. Like, she
Hmm.
has to be able to call up her friends and be like, hey, do your parents need somebody to, like, look over their finances? Like, why are you
Yeah,
talking to your dad?
yeah. Because the fact that her family knew Maxim's family and stuff, I understand
Hmm.
because it was in the publishing world. Like she she most likely went to like one of the top private schools in the country. So she would know people, she would know other rich families. And yeah, so her going into private management without any other contact just didn't feel responsible of her. Didn't feel realistic.
Yeah, it was very strange. It was very weird. So now I do want to get into Robert and Gus. So Robert is attempting sobriety, but he's dealing with some confidence issues. He's finding it hard to bring business to the desk as he isn't doing anything. He isn't making any calls. I'm not gonna lie. Watching industry is very interesting to me because I work in sales, but like for my sales, you need to make a certain number of calls every single day in order to like make appointments and actually make sales. And Eric goes to Robert. He's like, I need you to make one outgoing call. You have a lot of incoming calls. I need you to make one outgoing call. And I'm like, you can't make a call, Robert? A call? Oh, like somebody put me on that desk. Somebody give me his salary right now. Like I'll show. Yeah. I would. Oh my gosh, I would blow Eric's house out of the water. Like oh my gosh. But he starts a relationship with Nicole that turns to be very inappropriate and very weird. And it's disturbing to see how many times like the grads, so to speak, like Harper, Yasmin, and Robert, they will encounter somebody who is problematic, who is strange, but they will stomach it, grin and bear it regardless because they're about that bag, they're about that paper, they're chasing that business, and they're willing to like kind of turn a blind eye to what is blaringly wrong about this person just so that they can, bring something to the desk and they can be rewarded for their efforts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like Nicole makes it clear from the beginning, says from early on that Robert's whole interest in her is because he's got mummy issues. And it's like, and he still does it, but it's not even like a subconscious thing. He consciously knows he's got mummy issues. He consciously knows that Nicole has this thing where she sexually assaults her, like the salesperson, and then Robert, I guess, is just one of the few people who actually reciprocated. So it's already a relationship that's built on basically on a crime. And then it just continues and continues. And yeah, I feel like Robert, like Yasmin, I feel like one reason that they're such good friends is that they're both people who just need someone to love them for them and just loves them unconditionally. And neither of them have had that. Like his dad left and his mum, he said like his mum was like so intense and so overbearing. So, and he sought out in Nicole. Obviously, Nicole wasn't going to give it, but he just needed that sort of energy around him.
Yeah, it's really sad. And like, I don't know how to say this, but like the level of toxicity that they are, kind of like stomaching in their job, in their industry is quite alarming to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for Robert, because Clement Cohen dies in season 2 unceremoniously. Nobody even on the desk even like notices that he's dead.
I know. Yeah.
And it's crazy to see like how replaceable everybody is in the business. And I feel like that's like the one thing that's hammered into their heads. Like you have to stand out. You have to be seen as irreplaceable. You have to be seen as like the best of the best, because if you're not, they will toss you out the very next day. And like, they don't want to lose their spot on the desk at all. Like Eric Tao being the managing director, who was probably like one of the best salespeople out there. But after he lost Phelim, he immediately had a target on his back, and DVD was like, hey, guess what? You're going to be working in client relations now. Like, and then DVD was taking over the sales floor because Eric wasn't working there anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to be very honest. When DVD first walked into the room and he was first introduced in the show, I too knew from the jump that he and Harper would hook up, because Harper is like a young, pretty girl who is cunning, capable, and smart. And, he is just like, I don't think that DVD is an F-boy. I think that he has very terrible game when it comes to women. And I think
he's probably corny.
Yeah, he's mad corny, but he's rich. So like that makes up for it. And I think that he just knows, I think DVD is just a good little soldier. He's not like Harper. Like, Harper makes decisions on her own. She is someone who is impulsive, but at least she is someone who is independent and able to, like, pick herself up by her bootstraps. DVD is a soldier. He does what he's told. he follows the line, and that's how he stays employed. Like, even in season 3, you don't see him, but I think you hear his voice on one of the calls. So he's like one of the very few people that work at Pierpoint who's somehow still there, despite the fact that
Yeah,
like he isn't that remarkable in a way.
he isn't. But I think that's probably what people like Bill Adler like about him. That he does what he's told. He
Mm.
doesn't really take too many big risks that he'll jeopardize any like big funds, any big clients, or like do anything illegal like Harper. Um, and yeah, he's just like a good underling. And I feel like everyone sort of needs their good underling, like their good little lackey, good boy who'll just do their bidding for them. And that's what he was for Bill Adler. So
Yeah. And then we have Gus, who gets a job tutoring Jesse Bloom's son, Leo, and they start dating. And then he starts working for a minister who is connected to Anna, who is one of the, I think, head fudge managers that Pierpoint
mhm.
services. And he ultimately turns down a promotion. I feel like Gus's storyline was a lot more tame than everyone else's. And it's very interesting to see Gus's storyline in comparison to Harper's, especially in relation to Jesse Bloom, because Harper spent so many time chasing Jesse, courting Jesse, wanting Jesse's business, wanting to be, in league with him. And then by the end of it, she like messes up because she doesn't answer his call due to a family emergency. And Jesse does not care. Obviously, he doesn't care because if
Yeah,
Harper spent all this time trying to court him and build a relationship with him, then she should be ready to pick up his call once he calls her. And Gus just forms a relationship with Jesse just through his son because he's just himself. Like
yeah,
Gus does not have an ulterior motive. Gus does not have any kind of agenda. He has decided to kind of stick to his guns and be who he's meant to be, while Harper is like chasing the dragon, like chasing the next goal. Like she's so
yeah,
ambitious that she kind of loses sight of like what it actually means to be a person and business. And it's about client relationship at the end of the day when it comes to finance, because if you're going to have a huge client, you need to be 24/7 readily available. Like if you're a baby, if your wife is having a baby, you need to literally drop that baby on the floor and run to your client. That's what they want. He's
yeah,
a
yeah,
billionaire.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it also like their both of their relationships with Jesse also highlights something I said earlier about like the class differences. Because Gus is very comfortable, like obviously his family have like expectations for him of like going far into politics or finance or whatever. He knows he's comfortable. He knows he's at a status in society where he's fine. He's actually fine. He's got enough money. He's got the social status. He's fine. But with Harper, I can't remember what exactly it is that she says. But in season 1, they're talking about money, and she's like, "Money is everything." And so for her, obviously, her visa is dependent on her having this job, and she's someone who strives to make money. Like that is her one only goal is to make money. So her coming to Jesse Bloom, she's coming from a I need to make money off of you. Whereas Gus is just he's like, yeah, I can make money from you, but that's not like the be all end all of our relationship. So yeah, it's just like the different dynamics they have.
Yeah. And Jesse can like read the desperation off of Harper. Like he knows
Yes.
he knows that she is in desperate need and he's willing to utilize that, and he knows that Gus is pretty comfortable and confident in who he is, and he respects that about Gus, and he likes the fact that like even though like starts a relationship with his son, he is at least happy that Gus is willing to like be caring in a way where he's not expecting something out of Jesse, but like he genuinely cares about Jesse's son Leo and like
Yeah.
helps him get into Oxford.
Yeah.
Yes. And I also like the little, storyline he had with the man who walked in with the animal poop. Like him actually talking to him and like conversing with him, like that's very sweet, that's very wholesome. And when his sister was like, I mean, do you want to help people or do you want to like have a career? Like, what is it? What do you want? Like that kind of conversation I've heard a number of times in my life, and it's
Mm,
very true and very telling because his family, they're making moves in the world, and he is thinking about keeping a lowly position. Like
yeah.
yes, it's very interesting to see where Gus's story went, And I think that David Johnson, when he decided to like leave industry, I think that was a good time for him to leave because,
I think so as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
his story ended pretty like well, you know.
Yeah. And I think because he was getting like more and more separated from Pierpoint, which was like the central story, um, it would have been the writers would have had to constantly try and tie him back to the other characters, so it might have felt a bit forced and like not natural. Whereas this felt like he was slowly drifting away from everyone because he doesn't work with them anymore. So it just made sense that he would just continue drifting away from them all. And I'm actually happy in the end that he turned down the MP's job and that he didn't end up working for her. I liked that little bit of him having something for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Um, the season ends with Harper committing in
Oh,
insider
a
trading,
crime.
because she does not know when to stop.
No.
So she does that, and it's I literally like when I was watching season two, seeing her and Eric come together to basically threaten Bill Adler and be like, "Hey, look, you're gonna keep us on. If you don't, we're gonna tell people all these secrets, including a very big client that you have in your book, who is known to sexually harass grads." And Harper's like, "And
Yeah.
I'm one of the people that she has sexually harassed. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to make a decision there." Um, and to see them get their job secured, especially Eric, and then he turns around and then sends her to the gulag. Still,
Crazy.
Eric. Oh my
Honestly.
gosh, bro.
It's so funny. It's funny that, and it wasn't even insider trading thing that got her fired. It was the
No,
degree thing.
it was the
Like the
transcript.
fact that she went, yeah,
Yes.
like the fact that she forged it. So the fact that still meant I'm surprised that they never brought it up in season three, but it still meant that Eric still has it over her that she committed a crime. Like she still did the insider trading thing with Jesse. But yeah, it's quite silly.
Yeah. It's
And I'm not in finance. I never had training or anything. But
mm,
I feel like it's an insider trading, something that you learn quite early on not to do. It feels like it's a serious offense. So
yeah.
it feels like she should have known that, or maybe she just thought she wouldn't get caught. But that's again with her naivety that she thinks
Mm.
she's like so good and she's so experienced and so advanced that she'd never get caught for something like this. So
Also, Harper's being someone who's so smart and so capable, she knows it's insider trading. Even when she
yeah,
acts surprised in the room with Eric, I'm like, girl, I don't even work the job you do. And I know that if somebody who is the head of the company tells you, buy this stock at this time, that means something's going
yeah,
to happen and you're going to make money. That's insider trading. That's
literally.
literally it.
I know what insider trading is, and I do not pay attention to it. So it's like,
Girl,
how
it's
could she have not
illegal.
have known? Yeah,
Oh my gosh. It's honestly, it's so backwards to me to see how many times she screwed people over in season two.
yeah,
Like, they went to the duck hunting thing, and the company is like, hey, tell Jesse to sell to Phelim because we want
hmm
Phelim on this thing. And it's because they're hiding something from Anna about the price points for the med tech. And she decides to tell Jesse, hey, you need to do what you think is best. And this is what I think you should do. And even at the gun shoot, while Eric is trying to keep Phelim happy, he is trying to poach Jesse from
yeah,
Harper. Like, sir, really?
literally.
Messy boots. You guys never stop. You never stop. It's sad. It honestly is. But
Like, so
mm,
overall, it's the job not exhausting because like you just have to be on all the time, night and day. You always just have to be thinking, oh, how can I make this deal and how can I get this client? And I'm like, do you never rest? It feels like they never rest, especially people like Harper and Eric. Like they're so like type A, and it's like, do you ever just take a breather? And they don't.
do you ever just like for once in your life not scheme?
Yeah.
Do you
It's like
not?
they'll think that life's not worth living
Yeah.
unless they're doing some underhanded, just making so many like playing chess with everyone. And it's like, but I didn't opt into chess.
Mm,
And it's crazy.
it's ridiculous. So we're moving into season three. Harper is no longer at Pierpoint, but she is working with Anna, who is the founder of Future Dawn, and she is an ethical investment firm, and she's working as her executive assistant, which you can tell she is not handling that well as she misses sales. And
Yeah.
Yasmin is back at work. Excuse me. Her dad is missing, and he's in the midst of an embezzlement scandal. And Robert is now dealing with new relationships. And the show, now copying season 1, starts episode 1 off with the killing of a major character, Nicole Craig. She is gone.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I'm so happy they killed Nicole off.
So am I. Oh my God. Any character deserves to die in that show. It was Nicole. Oh my goodness. She was so brilliant. I hated her so much. I hated her so much. Not just she was a predator, but like besides the fact that she was a predator, she was also incredibly annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm happy that killed her.
Yeah, I always felt really icky and like just uncomfortable when Robert was with her, especially because he's dating Venetia, the girl who filed the complaint about her being abused by Nicole, and he was still seeing her. It's like, what are you doing?
I was like, the night, like the morning or whatever, Nicole died. He was literally in bed with Venetia, so I can only assume they just had sex. And then he goes again to have sex with Nicole. Venetia does not deserve that. And it's like she never finds out and she never knows. Oh, it's horrible.
It's also crazy how like Nicole dies and like nobody at Pierpoint cares once again.
No, I'm surprised that no one spoke about it.
Yeah.
And they all knew she was his client.
Yeah.
And like no one that. I don't know whether that was on purpose or like or whether the writers just forgot to include that in. But literally no one spoke to Robert about it.
And I also feel like Venetia gave him a necklace, which he left at the home, but then he picked it up and got it again. But I feel like Venetia did not press him enough on the fact that he was gone, like all night.
She did.
Like, she woke up the next day, her boyfriend was missing. Where'd he go?
Yeah,
where are you? You know. And I feel like if your employee is gone for most of the morning, like you need to figure out what's going on. You know. But
yeah, I just felt. I understand that was when they were doing the Loomy stuff, so like they weren't expecting him on the floor, but still, I just felt, why is no one asking where Robert is? Why is no one talking about Nicole dying? It just, and then the whole thing with Robert and Nicole's daughter, and like when he found out that she was just 15, oh, that was so gross.
I do have to say, I feel like with Industry, I do think it's a good show and it is well written, but it gets to a point where like you cannot make one character the punching bag of the show.
No, you can't.
It was so clear. Like when the little girl came and she like literally grabbed on Robert, I was like, run.
Actually, so he didn't like kiss my back. He didn't reciprocate. But I'm like, but then he hugged her. And I was like, you should be leaving the house. Why are you hugging her?
Get out of that house. Get out of that house. You should have jumped that fence when she saw you.
Yeah. I went to fear. What happened to like the fear of being caught? She just grabbed the necklace and then left. Spending all the time talking to her, going up to the study. Oh, silly.
Also, when he asked her if she was in college, I was like, look at her clothes. Look at what she's wearing.
He was obviously wearing a school uniform, and I don't understand how he didn't see that. So when she said, yeah, I've got GCSEs, like, I've got my first GCSE tomorrow. Yeah. Like, he's literally wearing a school uniform.
I don't know how he graduated. Like, you're an idiot. Robert, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. Like, all these things are happening to you, my guy. They're terrible, but like, you're so dumb.
He doesn't help himself. I feel like that's the issue of Robert, because he just doesn't try. He like floats on by just being mediocre, and he's never really had to try really hard. And that's how he navigates every aspect of his life. So
that is so true. So we're going into season 3. I was actually surprised that Yasmin and Harper were friends, but then again, I think they reconnected at Rishi's wedding, so it makes sense that they're friends.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they were speaking again at Rishi's wedding. Yeah.
I completely brushed over the fact that Rishi and Harper hooked up in the bathroom, but like also I did not want to talk about that because that's the most random thing
I
that
don't want to talk
happened.
about it. I don't want to talk about it. That was so gross. And I don't, I actually want to delete that from my memory. I hated that so much. Oh,
Oh.
so disgusting.
Sometimes a show, you know, they take advantage of the fact that it's gritty and that it's dark, and they can
Yeah.
kind of like do whatever in the show because it will fit within
Yeah.
the themes of the show. But sometimes we need to restrain ourselves.
Actually, we don't need to have everyone sleeping with everyone. Not every couple has to be a thing. Oh,
There are certain plot points,
no.
certain storylines that should stay in the drafts.
Yeah, it should.
Yes.
It's nothing even came out of it. Obviously, like they tried their little business together and then they fell out towards the end, but like nothing actually came of Harper and Rishi sleeping together. So what was the point of it?
Who knows? Who knows? Who cares? But
Yeah.
besides the point, so season three, we open up with Pierpoint shifting its focus to ESG, which is environmental,
Mhm.
social, and governance, in impact investing. Clearly, there is some division in the company from, you know, Pierpoint focusing on more like green companies to invest in. And the show follows the major storyline of the IPO of a green energy tech company called Lumi, which is led by Sir Henry Muck, played by Kit Harington. And when they said that Kit Harington was joining the cast of industry, I was like, oh, it's up and it's stuck. It's done. They said, we're getting that Emmy.
Yeah.
They said, we're gonna get that Emmy. Like, I'm about, they're
Yeah.
like, look up HBO's roster. Get the top dog.
Yeah.
Get him on the line right now. And Kit Harington, such a good actor. Oh my gosh, King.
So he knows how to play like the sort of kind of confident but pathetic man. He
Yeah.
plays that character quite well. Yeah.
I need
And he
I
did.
I don't know why I had the sentiment when I was watching the show, but I was like, I need him in a rom com. Like, I need to root for him. I need to root for him because, like,
Yeah.
in watching Henry Muck and seeing how he was acting, the whole time I was like, I don't trust you because you can't trust any of these new niggas on the
He's fun.
show. So immediately when he's being all nice to Yasmin and buying her things and trying to be like all sweet, I'm like, I see through your lies.
Yeah.
I know who
From the
you
beginning.
are. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, don't try and
And I
fool
did
me.
like how he was so comfortable, like calling his uncle and his godfather. He'd always make like fascist and Nazi jokes around them. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like when he calls them proto-fascists and talking about like black shirts and all of these references to like Nazis. I was like, what is wrong with this man? Just
He
a weird guy.
he's meant to be something like Kendall Roy, but not exactly like him because like Kendall Roy's from Succession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do know that. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, just want to be sure. But like Kendall, you know, Kendall and Henry are different because Henry relies on his charm and his good looks and the fact that he can, you know, pretend be compassionate to a certain extent to people to
Mhm.
like get people in his good graces. Kendall is like awkward and a little weird, but at least he like knows the business and he's pretty confident enough, you know, and he is like seen as the eldest son because the actual eldest son of the Roy family, Connor, is like living on a ranch somewhere, so nobody even like recognizes him as the eldest son despite the fact that he is. But I think that with like Kendall and Henry, the way that they're similar is that like they both work in finance, they both are rich, but they know the lingo of the young people. They know the political trends that are most popular and most favorable. And because he's running a green energy company, he knows that people who will be interested in that fall into a certain line politically. So he knows how to like co-opt that language so that he's accepted into that community or accepted with these wealthy, you know, people in the what's the opposite of Tory?
Labor.
Labor, yes.
Yeah.
He wants to fall in line with the labor voters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he is very clearly not in line with labor voters because his family is incredibly rich and
Yeah.
he would so easily say, oh, screw those people. I don't care about them. Not really.
Literally. Like when he wasn't so willing to like sell the shares to the company and like leave all of the people, all of the house, like 2 million households, was it that they said that had bought into Lumi? And it was
Hmm.
like, he just didn't care. So him pretending to be this like man of the people, like wanting to make a greener future, it was all a lie just to make money. But that is the way.
Yeah, it's just the way he works. Yes. So we have Lumi, and Robert is basically trying to like manage him. He's the representative. He's not doing a good job of it. He's not doing a
But
strong job.
does Robert ever do a good job of anything?
No, he
Whatever
doesn't know how to do his
project Robert
job.
has. So I feel like it was Pierpoint's fault making Robert like the main go-between for Lumi and Pierpoint. It was
But
silly.
it's obvious that they picked him on purpose because,
Yeah, they did.
yeah, they know that like Henry is a billionaire and he wants a lackey, and they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
get that one. He'll
Yeah.
work. Like he's a lackey, yeah." And I also think like in watching season three, I now realize, like I truly realize that Yasmin does not know how to do her job. She doesn't know how to get clients. She doesn't know how to build relationships. She doesn't know how to even like read the fine print on certain contracts. She doesn't know how to read the room during a meeting. She makes mistakes
No,
all the time. It's because she spent all her time relying on her rich friends and her rich family rather than actually like harnessing her skills and working on her job that like
yeah.
would help her succeed in her work. And now her dad is like in the middle of an embezzlement scandal and she is close to losing her job.
It feels like Yasmin's the type of person that she thinks like a smile and just like a few kind words will like get her into any room and will just smooth any situation over. But not understanding that in a job like that, you have to be competent. And like it's the fact that her dad says that he's the one who got her that job.
Hmm.
Like it was her name, and because he said like something like she just went to like a average university, but he was the one who got her that job. And it makes sense because she doesn't seem like someone who is competent enough to have beaten the competition of all of the other students that would have applied to work at Pierpoint. So yeah. She's posted on by her whole life. But that's her.
Yeah, that is true. And then we have Harper,
Mm.
working for Anna at Future Dawn, not being satisfied at being an executive assistant, thus,
Yeah.
styling up with Petra, who is Anna's best friend, and helping her create her own fund. And
Yeah.
it's, oh my God. In watching the show and seeing Harper get close to Petra, I'm like, here she go again. Here she go on her BS once again, trying to
Honestly.
like the fact that she was able to get a job with Anna. You should be
That's
so
what I don't get.
grateful.
I don't get. I know. Yasmin said she helped her get the job with Anna, and
Oh,
I understand that
definitely.
Petra says in like episode 2 or 3 or whatever, saying that she doesn't really. She said like higher education's a bubble. So I get Petra is not bothered about the degree thing. I
Hmm.
thought wouldn't Anna be bothered by the fact that she doesn't even have a full degree? She's kind of like lied her way up
That's why she's
into
an executive
industry.
assistant. That's why she doesn't
Yeah, but
have
even
like,
still, yeah, anything really. She's
yeah.
not doing any sort of trading. Yeah, I'm just surprised.
When
She
she works with
managed to
Petra,
fail.
oh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, no, it's fine. I finished.
When she like starts working with Petra to create the fund, knowing that like she's going to be betraying Anna, it
Hmm.
really like, gosh, I just sit back. I'm like, girl, your ambition is going to kill you one day. Because
Yeah.
I think her aligning with Petra, it made sense because her and Petra do seem very much alike. Like Petra is willing to screw over her long-term friend, and also I think the godmother of her children, in order
Yes.
to like, start out on her own, trade how she wants to, invest in the businesses that she wants to invest in, and make the money that she wants to make. And she wants to do that with Harper because she sees that Harper is a rebel and a rule breaker in the same way that Petra is in a way,
Hmm.
until it becomes too much. You know,
Yeah.
it still gets to be a little too real, a little too quickly. You know.
So like everyone who works with Harper like really likes her assertiveness and like her willingness to just go for things and like she's a risk taker. the thing about Harper is she's too much of a risk taker
Yeah.
without enough experience to back herself up. And she never has contingency plans. She never has a plan B. So when she makes this massive risk and it all falls through, she's like, oops, and just expects everyone else to clear up around her.
Hmm.
And it just happens again and again and again with like every single person she interacts with. And when will she learn? She never does, which I kind of love about her character because she just perseveres and she's always just taking these risks and never really learning from them. So
Yeah, Harper really is someone who has like this unbridled confidence in herself, and she
yeah,
is incredibly relentless in her resolve to, be better and like, obviously like make money, you know.
yeah.
So when they're at, I don't know what conference it is exactly, but they're at a conference, talking about Lumi and
Oh,
discussing
it was
it.
the climate panel.
Yeah, the climate panel. Beforehand, there was the launch day for their stock, and
Mhm.
the power went out like
Yeah.
over London, and then it came back, and then Lumi stock was crashing
Yeah.
exponentially. And seeing everybody just like devolve and lose their minds, and Harper just like helping Petra along to like make money, I was just like, this has to be divine intervention at some point. Like Harper had to make a deal with the devil or something to like get this to happen because this can't just happen out of nowhere. Like,
No.
girl, what kind of spirits are you conjuring? Like, what's going on here? It was almost supernatural the way that it happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And even the way in the panel when Harper just spoke and like interrupted the whole thing to ask the question, like I'm surprised she didn't get a lot of backlash from Petra for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Harper just does these things and then everyone around her is just like, yeah, that's Harper for you. Like I like her funk. And it's like what?
It's crazy because Robert and Yasmin are literally backstage and they're like, there she go. Again.
Yeah,
She can't stay away.
no,
Like, the look on Eric's face when he realizes that, like, it's Harper speaking,
yeah,
his worst enemy has somewhere
yeah,
chased him across the world. Like, oh my gosh. And I do have to say, I think Petra, she wasn't as upset by it because the meetings they were taking weren't successful. They weren't getting any clients. They
yeah,
weren't getting any bites. So Harper felt like she had to like make a big splash, so to speak.
yeah,
And I think Petra was upset to a certain point, but also like she, once again, like you said, like she recognizes the ambition that Harper has, and she has to just like, have confidence in her confidence. Like really
mhm,
be reassured that there is going to be some kind of return on her investment in Harper. And there was a really big return because the guy who went to go see them, he is a billionaire.
yeah,
It was two men that went to go see them in their room. So obviously
yeah,
something worked out in the end of it.
yeah, definitely.
So we then have Yasmin becoming entangled with Henry Muck. Because, Robert's trying to get him out of the bathroom. He's trying to help him because the day went terribly. And Yasmin's like, oh, a rich white man with a frail ego?
I'll handle it. Sounds like a job for me. Gosh. Nice.
When she walks into the bathroom and she just looks at him and
Yeah.
she's telling him to get up, I'm like, oh my gosh. Sir, you've signed your death warrant. It's over for you. Like, their fates are sealed. It's over. It's done. It's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it up. Like, Robert cannot compete with a pair of tits. I'm sorry, man. You just don't have it.
Oh no, you can't. No,
No.
never. Especially for someone like Henry Muck. Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's
Henry.
done.
Henry Musk. Y'all couldn't be more obvious with these names. Jesus Christ. Could it be more obvious? Yeah. So during season 3, I like that in the later seasons we get a lot more focus on Eric as him, like personally, and him as a character
Hmm.
because he is
Yeah.
a very interesting character in the show. He gets promoted to partner, and he realizes that getting promoted to partner does not mean that you are, out of the woods. Like you're still vying for your, your value. in the firm. You
Yeah.
still have to prove yourself in some way. Like, it doesn't mean that you're at the top of the ladder. You're at the bottom rung of a brand new ladder, as one of
Yeah.
the characters said, which it becomes very clear, like, that Eric, his ruthlessness really is something that is unmatched by the other
Yes.
characters in the show.
But even like the fact that when he got the job, Bill Adler was like to him, oh, like he was kind of joking, but I still don't know whether he was fully joking about the fact that Eric's like not a white man.
Hmm.
Like that had something to do, obviously, like in the era of them doing all the ESGs and stuff, like him not being a white man. And I think obviously, Eric's a very prideful person, so he's
Hmm.
going to be like, I want to prove myself. You didn't just hire me just because like I'm a person of color in this all white room. So I think that was a more of an incentive for him to be even more cutthroat. And I think that's why he like fired Kenny so early on when he didn't need to fire him that soon. Because he just
Yeah.
felt like I have to prove myself, I have to prove myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like Eric, he's had to deal with that a lot because when he went to New York in season 2, he went to the office of his old mentor and he pulled out a Make America Great Again hat. And I was like, oh
Yes.
gosh, this is the guy you modeled yourself after? Gee, oh Christ.
Lit-
And Eric is like the picture of, grin and bear it, just like stomach it, just like get through it, like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what people say about you or how people treat you, like just go, just like, be the best. That's it. Just prove yourself over everyone else. And when he went to visit his mentor's wife or his widow,
Yeah. So,
yeah, his widow, he told her like, oh, he used to call me all these different slurs that I've never heard of in my life. And she was like, he wasn't like that at home. He was so kind and nice.
yeah.
And I was like, girl, he was barely at home, wasn't he? Yeah, that's it.
He wasn't like that to you because you're his white wife. So obviously you're not
Yes.
going to see his racist sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Girl, don't be surprised.
Is it
And
also the fact
hmm?
that their whole relationship wasn't she like his she was like his mentor. She worked under him.
Hmm.
So there was already a power dynamic in that relationship. So her being surprised that he wasn't a good person kind of felt insincere. Like, come on,
Hmm.
let's be serious. Why are you surprised
Yeah.
that your husband was not a nice person?
But you also see how like certain men on the desk treat women versus how they treat other men.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
kind of it's clear like why she didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
But we do get to see a lot more of Rishi in season 3 as well.
Mm. I don't know if I cared. I can't say that I really cared to know about Rishi's like his
Gambling.
character development. His gambling.
Yeah.
Okay, the gambling episode annoyed me because he went gambling. He won like thousands of pounds or whatever. He goes to a club, pays for like bottle girls, gets beaten up, so decides to go back to the casino and then loses all the money he just earned. It just felt very silly. Like that didn't feel like a smart thing to do.
Yeah. I
I just
mean,
didn't get it.
I understand that gambling is an addiction, and
Yeah, I get that.
yeah, and because he works in sales and like in the type of sales that he works in, with like selling the products, the financial products that he does, a lot of it is reliant on the stock market. And although the stock market can be fickle, it's not essentially gambling, so to speak, but it can change at the drop of a dime, just depending on like how the financial markets work or like what it is you're invested in. So watching Rishi's episode and seeing how it ends up with him making like $18 million, essentially covering his debt that he had caused on his book and his friend's book, is like, the life you live, you do not deserve.
No, it's so awful. I don't get it. And on top of that, he's like just so offensive. Like the way he speaks to
Oh,
people.
he's terrible.
Yeah,
I
awful.
I want to say like I'm fine with terrible people being in TV shows and like
Yeah,
people
no,
being
come on.
like, yeah, people being awful, like that makes sense because of the show and like the setting the show's in, but like also
Yeah,
Rishi, when they find out about the subreddit of called like Overheard at Pierpoint, and
yeah.
Rishi's like suddenly surprised that people are like saying that he's a bully. Like, sir, we've watched you for 3 seasons. Like, season 1, we just heard you harassing people in the background. We barely got any screen time with you. Season 2, we
Yeah,
got screen time with you, and we saw you harassing people and yelling at people, and you also cheated on your
yeah,
wife the morning before
yeah,
your wedding.
yeah.
Like, You're not a good person, Rishi. You're a terrible man.
Sam knows that about himself and he likes that about himself. Like he's like, what's wrong with that? But then he got offended when HR pulled him up on it. And it's like, you can't play like innocent now after you've
Yeah.
done all of this. So
Because they feel like on the sales floor they can communicate how they want to because clients talk to them however they want. So obviously you're gonna,
yeah,
pass down that negative energy to the people that you work with and surround yourself with. But like that is not a professional way to conduct yourself. And although that culture is obviously very normalized at Pierpoint, it's clear that the way that Rishi goes about it is going too far.
yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
I'm also glad that Anraj was given more screen time in the show. I feel like he's an interesting character.
Like Anuraj. I liked Anuraj and I like Sweet Pea.
Yeah.
I like their characters. And I like towards the end how like they I don't like that they ended up working for Harper because I don't think Harper will be a good boss to them. But that's for season 4 to decide. But I like their characters and I like their development and like them learning to stand on their own 2 feet and like build their confidence and be sure of themselves. And I like Sweet Pea stood her ground, even when Eric like tried to shut her up about how Pierpoint had all of that debt and stuff and we're gonna make all of the sales. I liked the fact that she was like, no, I'm gonna keep on pushing it.
Yeah. I think Pierpoint, finding out about Pierpoint's debt is very interesting. It's also interesting to me that, like, Sweet Pea was the one who discovered it
Yeah.
because she is technically a graduate. So
Mm.
if someone who's new to the company is able to uncover all of that debt, it's like, who else knows? Because y'all are not doing a good job of
Yeah.
hiding it.
No. I like the fact that people in different departments, like she was speaking to people across different departments and they all knew. And
Hmm.
it's like, it doesn't feel well hidden. Like the higher ups did not hide it well.
Yeah, not at all. So there are so many things that happen in season three that
Okay.
what is it that I think the thing I want to talk about the most is the fact that I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but Yasmin and Robert finally stopped doing the will they won't they thing.
Yes, yes. But you know what's absolutely crazy about that? They finally stopped doing the will they won't they thing, and then she gets engaged to Henry Muck. And it feels like Yasmin hates herself. Because just when she can finally have happiness with someone who actually loves her back,
Hmm.
she's like, no, I understand why she marries him because he's like protection, he's financial protection, all of that sort of stuff. But like so close as well. Yeah. So silly. But I'm happy for them. But I'm not happy for them because she ruins it.
I'm like I feel like I'm 50% sure that when we come back as season four, Yasmin's gonna be pregnant and that baby's gonna have blonde hair. That baby gonna look just like Robert.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised because I know Robert's in America and his character, he's not going to be in the next season, is he? Or is
No.
he? He's not going to be in the next season. Because I was thinking, like, if he was going to be in the next season, I've had a feeling they would probably do like an affair storyline. I know he's in America, but like, yeah, they could have done like a little affair storyline.
I understand why the actor left the show
Yeah,
because the way they treated their character was so unfair and like
yeah,
having to go through all of the things he went through in that season, like the your sugar mama or whatever Nicole was dies. Like
on
literally
you, sleeping on you dies.
yes, dies. Her daughter like throws herself on you as she's 15 years old. The IPO that you were meant to handle goes kaput, and then the company tries to pin it on you as the person who's going to be taken
Crazy.
down, and then the minister of health and safety, takes the blame. But you soon find out that she only did that so that she can become prime minister, and now
Yeah,
you're kind of like in the inner circle. And then you take
yeah,
ayahuasca, realizing that you're even more effed up than you thought. And then the girl that you had a crush on since you started your job, who played with you in your face, slept with other people, finally she gives you a chance, and then she gets engaged to the guy who essentially almost made you lose your job.
yeah, yeah. This show just didn't like Robert as a character. Like they just felt everything bad that they could have happen to a character. They said, "Oh, let's just throw it Robert's way. He can handle it. He can handle it. He can handle it. I can handle it." So yeah, good for him. I'm happy he's left.
Yes, and then Yasmin having to deal with her father and his embezzlement, and then him just being like a terrible man. And when that guy jumped off the boat, I was like, good.
Good. He was like, oh, actually, I changed my mind. Sorry. Sucks to be you, to be honest.
I understand why she was upset and like heartbroken and like really like going through it when,
Yeah.
she came back to work. And then like I see why Harper was being so kind to her, and I thought it was very sweet that they were finally friends. But
Honestly, same.
Harper being who she is, you knew that was not going to last.
It never does.
No. And Harper and Yasmin's relationship through the season, it was very sweet, and I feel like it was something that I was truly rooting for. But,
Hmm.
no relationship goes unmoored in industry. There is always some kind of
No.
conflict that happens. And, we end up, Harper ends up screwing Yasmin over. Not intentionally, but like she screws her over regardless because she knows that Yasmin can't do her job. And,
Yeah.
yeah, Yasmin ends up getting in huge trouble. She loses her job. And when Yasmin and Harper finally have like their tete a tete.
Yeah. I actually love that argument. I love
Yes.
it.
When they're eating each other
I,
up, I was like, yes,
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
stop.
Don't stop. And, then, and I was like, oh, now it's going to end. I didn't want this to happen because I just wanted them to keep on going back and forth.
Hmm.
It's so juicy. Yeah.
Yeah. I I feel like when Yasmin's dad died and then like when the paparazzi were following her around, I did feel sorry
Mhm.
for her. I did feel bad for her. And the fact that she like didn't have a lot of money, I'm going to be real with you, like working at Pierpoint, in my head I was like, girl, you probably make 200,000 a year. You're not broke.
Literally.
You just can't
I'm
afford
broke.
your lawyer. That's it.
Yeah. I'm broke. I'm broke. And even her lawyer was like, good thing you're still employed by paper. And I was like, yeah, you're definitely on at least 100K, at least 100K. So
Hmm.
when she kept on saying, I'm broke. Oh,
Like,
that's so silly.
yeah, it's like, okay, okay, girl, sure, whatever you say. But when the publishing house was trying to pin it all on her because her dad had died and they finally found out that he died,
Hmm.
and they're trying to make her like, you know, confess to knowing about the embezzlement, I was really just like, you have to be joking. Like,
Yeah.
it's great that you're going to be taking care of all of the lawsuits, but like, she didn't know anything, and no one could expect her
No.
to know anything. Like, you spend. It's gonna be mean. You spend one conversation talking to Yasmin. You can clearly tell she don't know anything about money. You don't know how she got her job
No,
at Pierpoint. She don't know nothing.
no, no,
I feel like
absolutely
Yasmin knows how
nothing.
to talk a good game, which is why she knows Anna. But
Yeah.
like when it comes to like real knowledge in the way that Gus knew things about like financial services, it doesn't feel like she knows that much.
No, she doesn't. She
No.
absolutely doesn't. Yeah, and like them trying to pin the whole thing on her, and like the woman from the publishing, what was her name, Rose or something, having like no sympathy for how she was going to ruin her life. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, well, your family has to take the blame. It's just like you're going to literally ruin my life.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then finding out that was all an inside job anyway. The whole publishing house was in on the embezzlement anyway. So it's like crazy.
Yeah. I understand why she took up the deal with the man who publishes the paper. Like, the whole time he's
Yeah,
being all nice to her and everything. And I'm like, I don't know if I would be that nice to that man. Because, like, your paper is publishing terrible things about me. Like, they're posting pictures about
yeah,
me, people are outside of my house. And he's like, oh,
yeah,
I let my editors have free range. And it's like, how about I have
yeah,
free range to run them over? How about that? How
yeah.
would you feel?
I feel like they were trying to make him like the Rupert Murdoch of the show because
Yeah.
like they made like a reference to phone tapping and like, there's like a huge like phone tapping scandal.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like everyone knows it's trying to make him the Rupert Murdoch. Everyone knows Rupert Murdoch was a terrible person and he knew everything that his newspapers were doing. Like he knew how
Hmm.
exploitative they were. He knew they were taking advantage. So this guy acting like, oh, I'm so innocent. Oh, I can't. I just don't want to restrict their creative freedom. It's
Hmm.
like what? So silly.
Do you think we're dumb? You think you could fool
But
us? And at the birthday party, when he's talking about how much he cares about his family, loves his family, I was like, oh
oh,
my gosh, please
literally.
choke. Please choke right now.
That
You
was
can't convince
also
me.
no.
No, not at all.
I hated that.
So, how did you feel about Yasmin and Henry's relationship?
I thought it was going to be very short term. I thought like, oh, when they first got together, I was like, cute. I hate it, but cute. Let it end it. And then it ends, and I was like, great. And I thought we would never see them together again. For them to like come back together at the end, and for it to end, for the series end, and then being engaged. Oh, I hate it. I understand why she did it. Like, I understand her motivations, but I hate it. I hate it so much. I just don't like them as a couple.
Mm-hmm. I I'm not even gonna lie. When Henry and Yasmin were like at dinner together and talking, I
Yeah,
initially was like, please, Yasmin, enter your healing girl era. Please
yeah,
cut off all contact with men. Please do it for me. For
yeah.
me. I need it.
For me,
I beg of
yeah.
you. And when she like pulled out, when she peed in the restroom, I was
When
like,
yeah, it's over. It's over. I was like, is she going to do the same thing that she did with Robert? And she kind of did, but then she
uh,
actually went the full way, and they went into a whole relationship. But as soon as she walked into that bathroom, I was like, it's over. It's actually over.
I was like,
Over.
she found a new plaything. She,
Yeah.
but when all of the news broke out about Henry being like inappropriate with workers, especially when they brought that up at the hearing with Robert sitting there.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, Robert is so incompetent. He doesn't know how to do his job. Oh my
Way he
gosh.
kept saying, I refer back to my statement. Like, the way he was saying it, like, say it with conviction. He just seemed so weak and just so cowardly in that
Oh
whole
my
hearing.
gosh.
Oh,
Jesus
gosh.
Christ. It's kind of crazy how similar Henry and Robert are, except for the fact that Henry is a billionaire and
Yeah.
Robert it just makes 100K a year, at least, you know.
Yeah.
So Yasmin, going off on Henry because of like what happened at the hearings, I totally understand. At that point, I was like, you know what, girl, finally, you make a good decision. You make a right
Yeah.
decision. Flip over that table. That's it. Yeah. Storm out that house.
Yeah.
Exactly. Finally.
Friends table. I was
Some
like, finally,
self
you're standing up for
respect.
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And when he sent her the photo of a sunset, it's like, you are tied to my purpose. I was like, block his
No.
number. Block his number. Such an F boy move. Send me a picture of the sunset. Go away. Go away. Oh my god. And I think it's like, I think it was probably when they went to the inn and she was like, not tripping on mushrooms, but when they're at the gas station,
Mhm.
she decides to call him. I was just
Yeah.
like,
I was like, I see that you closed the door, and I was like so proud of her. So, like sitting at the table, walking out, and I was like, I thought we were done.
mm.
As soon as she called him, I was just like, oh,
I know she
to
did
it,
it
are
for
we?
Robert so he can make his deal. And, like,
Yeah, I get
he
that.
was able to get the seed money for the business that he wanted to do,
Yeah,
go off to America. And when I didn't catch it the first time she was talking to the guy at the newspaper, but he was like,
mhm,
I protect family, you know?
yeah,
And, Jasmine was like, I don't feel like I can fix Henry. And I was like, no, you can't. You can't fix him. Forget him. Screw him. Leave him be. And then she went with Robert into the garden. I was like, okay, we're free. We're free. Come on. We're almost there.
like literally, Yasmin's been entering her healed era. Like she's gonna be a full healed person in a healthy relationship. No,
Yes.
she said I could have had that, but no.
And the thing is, when they're at the dinner and the camera pans over to her, and she just
Yeah.
looks so sad, I'm just like, what are you upset about? What's going on?
Announcement, and it's just face. And
Yes.
then it goes to Robert, and Robert's straight face. So only one smiling here. Only one smiling.
And Henry stands up, and then Yasmin stands up. And I'm like, what are you standing for? Sit down.
Yeah,
Sit back
yeah,
down. What's going on? He's like, hate to. I guess he said, I hate to share a spotlight or something, but he was like, we're
yeah.
getting engaged. And I'm like,
Gabe.
the shock on Robert's
So,
face. I was like, me too,
yeah,
twin. Me too,
I actually
twin.
had to pause it. I literally paused it and I just had to like take a deep breath. And I was just like, Yasmin, what have you done? And then obviously it goes back and it shows like the whole conversation beforehand. I'm just like, what have you done? He's so annoying.
She literally married her father. Like,
Yeah, she did.
I, there's nothing else to
Then
be
she
said.
gets offended. She gets offended whenever anyone says she's like attracted to men like her father, or whenever anyone says that she's like her father, she's always like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. But it's like you must see how much her father, like she's got daddy issues, just point blank. Like he's always going to be attracted to men that have his qualities. And I just don't.
I don't think she's like her dad because I do think that her dad is weak.
Oh
Um,
no, yeah, no, she was right about that. She was like
yeah,
when they were saying, "Oh, you're like that," no, he was like, "No, my dad." She was right. She was right about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Yasmin, she may not know anything about her job or how to do her
Mhm.
job, but she is smart. Like she knows
Yeah.
what it means to have protection and uphold the lifestyle that she's used to. And she knows what it takes that she's willing to, sacrifice her own happiness, her own appeasement in order to maintain that lifestyle. And I found it weird that she hired that girl from the boat, to be her assistant for
No,
like just for like a minute. To be honest,
literally.
I would have brought that girl to the house and I would have this is so mean. I would have smacked that girl across the face. If I was Jasmine.
Yeah, looks like the job. I said, "Oh, she one." He was like threatening to release to the papers that she saw
Mhm.
you on the boat before he jumped off. But then now, I guess because she feels guilty, she's like wants to help her out.
Mhm.
But yes, it's also weird because when like she was bringing up how her dad was basically a pedophile, and
Yeah.
then that's when Yasmin sort of freaks out on her. And I was like, what also struck me was I forgot which episode it was and who she was talking to, but she was saying like how she would never do therapy. Someone was saying like, "Oh, I went to therapy," and she was like, "Oh, I'd never do that." And like,
Mhm.
who wants to be paid to just hear me talk about my family? Eric. I think it was when she was talking to Eric when they were on that night out when they both got high.
Mhm.
And I was like, anyone in this show needs therapy. It's Yasmin.
Yeah.
Her saying I would never go to therapy. She needs it the most.
Yeah. People who say they don't want to go to therapy are obviously scared of uncovering some things that they have buried deep inside of them.
Very
Yes.
deep. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the show when the the woman, from the boat reveals that her dad was like into young women, I was like, "Oh, so we're just saying the
Yeah.
quiet part out loud."
When she said as young as 12, I was like, oh, okay, this is serious. Yeah.
I truly I didn't know what to say at that point.
No.
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to feel. And I can't even imagine like what's next for Yasmin in the show cuz like are we just going to watch her play like Kate Middleton for like the rest of the series?
Right. Is she never gonna work again? So she's just gonna be like Henry Muck. She's just gonna be a lady. She's gonna be a lady and she's gonna be married to him and they're gonna go to these like fancy events. But she's not built for that lifestyle. She needs to be
Hmm.
doing something. She's not just built to be some rich man's wife. So it's going to be interesting what they do with her character.
Yeah, I think she might take an interest in like Henry's business at some point, you
I
know.
think so. She'll try and do another little startup thing, which will probably fail again, but she'll want to be on the like finance team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um let's see. Oh, also Harper commits another crime on the show.
Of course.
Um
Yeah.
but instead she gains the interest of one of Henry's uncles, I think, who's the billionaire. And he like
His good father. Yeah.
yeah. And he is basically like, I want to work with people who trade the way I trade.
Yeah.
It's like, Harper, do we not see there's something wrong here?
Yeah.
But she just keeps going after the bigger fish, like bigger fish after
Mhm.
bigger fish after bigger fish, because that's what matters to her.
Mhm. It's all that matters to her. She
And
doesn't care
then,
about going to prison. She's like,
mm,
but if I don't go to prison and I'm actually really successful and I'm like in with the top dogs, she's
yes,
willing to take that risk. So
it's It's actually wild to watch the show. And then, of course, we come to the point where we realize that Pierpoint is in trouble because they became borrower and lender to a lot of these ESG, firms, funds. And they realize that they need an acquisition deal that night or Pierpoint is done. And
Yeah.
watching Eric completely manipulate his friend, his long-term friend Bill Adler, so that he could sit in the hot seat and save the day.
When he did that whole saying, oh, we spoke about it before, didn't we? Do you not remember when we spoke about it before? Me, like I was crazy. I was like, did I miss something in that scene when they spoke about it? But he made him feel like he was losing his mind in front
Mm-hmm.
of the whole group. I was like, oh, Eric, you've truly like sunk to the bottom. But Bill Adler was your guy, and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you're willing to throw him under the bus completely for this, crazy.
Eric, you are a terrible person. Like when he mentioned that his wife is fighting him for custody, I'm like, when are you gonna take care
Yeah,
of your
good.
kids?
Actually, like they said in the beginning, like he hadn't seen his kids for weeks. Like when they were brought to the Pierpoint office, and he just got Sweet Pea to look after them. Like
Mm-hmm.
he does not care about his kids. So why is he now complaining? Oh, she's fighting for full custody. Obviously,
Who else is gonna look after them?
yeah.
They can't be at your job, Eric. I feel like Eric. Oh my gosh, he truly reached a new low in the
Yeah,
show. And I feel like even from the first time we meet Eric Tao, it's very clear that he's a guy who kind of does things on a whim and he really flies by the seat of his pants. Like having only one client that supports your desk and the fact that you two have such a frayed relationship that he's willing to like, not answer your calls. It really does speak to how like in season two, Harper was going with Rishi and Eric to these other banks to try to
yeah,
pitch themselves as like the dream team. And the whole time,
yeah,
Jesse's not answering her calls, not answering her texts, like doesn't even like want to acknowledge her. Like literally hangs up the phone when she calls him so he can spend time with
mm,
his son and Gus. Like he does
yeah.
not like you anymore. It's sad.
It's very sad. It's so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you
Another
think?
thing,
Go ahead.
sorry, another thing about sort of talking about Rishi, and we spoke about Rishi a bit before, but what happened to his wife in the last episode? That shocked me. That shocked me so much. I was not expecting them to do that.
Uh-huh.
Like, cool. And it was so quick. Like, she was shouting at him, and then just bang, dead.
I think that lets us know that Rishi is not coming back.
I think so. He can't come back from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think that he is actually done because I don't know how you end up in $500,000 in debt.
No, it's not taking it.
That's
I know it's like 200,000 from his credit, like credit cards and stuff.
mm.
But to get another 300,000, where did that come from? Why are you a crazy guy?
I do think he made back all the money he could have paid off that guy in that one night when he was like at the table,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, he did. I'm sure he did. But then he's just silly and he re-gambled it all away and he lost, obviously. He was silly, stupid man. And I just,
Yes.
oh. And like his wife didn't deserve to die, but it was like the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
And pushing the guy off. Like basically, he's a loan shark. Kept on pushing him off, pushing him off, pushing him off. And then obviously,
Hmm.
he's a loan shark and he's like a criminal loan shark. He's not going to be like respectful of not having a gun and not being violent.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. It's clear that women are often seen as collateral in industry.
yeah,
It's actually shocking to see that his wife died in such a brutal way because, like, you
yeah,
have a son that
yeah.
you did not take care of. Also, people are going to be asking questions like, what happened to your wife? How'd she die?
Also, her parents are very involved. Like everyone who knows her, the Nicholas guy who they
Oh my
bought
gosh.
the property from,
Mm-hmm.
like all of them are going to be wondering where she is and what happened and all of that sort
Mm.
of stuff. Oh,
Rishi, I mean, honestly, it's better if he dies because if we see him next season, I'm also going to be surprised.
I bit surprised that why did the guy? I understand he probably didn't shoot Rishi because he wants his money, and if he kills Rishi, he won't get his money. But like, I feel like Rishi needs to die at some point. He's next on my list. So Nicole was top of my list. I'm glad Nicole died, and then Rishi's next.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Um, Gosh, do you feel like? Do you have any final thoughts about Industry as a show?
I My final thoughts are I like the drama of it all, like it being high stakes and this like that world that you don't really see a lot of shows about.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that every single one of the characters is like not a good person. And it's probably one of the first shows, one of the only shows that I've watched where literally none of the main cast is like likable. And I feel like they sometimes do it well, but then they're sometimes so purposefully making the characters unlikable that it just feels kind of unrealistic. Like someone like Harper should not have gotten as far as she's got.
Oh
From
yeah.
the first season where she made the mistake where she sold like what she sold the wrong currency, like she sold pounds instead
Yes.
of dollars, she's been fired and that would have been the show over, but that would have been the show over, so they couldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Overall, I like the show. I like not what I like. I I agree with what you said before about how the women are like disposable, like collateral, very much. Like, even like the main characters, like the women, like Yasmin. Someone said in season 3 that she's either a victim or sexual object,
Mm-hmm.
and it very much felt like they wrote her as those two things. And I kind of want to see. I hope in season 4 that we see her as neither of those two things, and maybe that's what her marriage to Henry Muck will give. She'll
Mm-hmm.
neither be. She'll be a sexual object by him because he will sexualize her, but hopefully she won't be as much of a victim because this thing with her father would have ended and stuff, and we can kind of see her blossoming into her own person. But who knows?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Um, I feel like Industry is such an amazing show. Um,
Yeah.
I'm really happy that this show exists because it's one of those shows where like people talk about it a lot, but like not many people watch it. And I'm glad that it's
Yes.
very insular because let the general public find this show. Oh, girl, they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna
No, they're not.
understand. This is for the girlies that get it. And really, I appreciate just how real the show is. There are a lot of things in the show that are unrealistic and that are just too much is happening. Like the drug use in the show is excessive. You know, the way people
Yeah.
get away with things is that does not happen in real life. That does not happen
No.
in the finance industry. But I think overall the show is incredible. I really so desperately wanted to get like a Golden Globe nomination, an Emmy
Hmm.
nomination, Critics' Choice, like a
Yeah.
BAFTA. Like, come on, like it really does deserve
Yeah.
that. And overall, it's one of the strongest shows that are out right now, and I feel like the longer it goes on, the crazier and the more wild it gets. But
Yes.
I I honestly can't wait to see season 4. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And I think that because Pierpoint is down, I don't think it's gonna be hard to keep the characters together because they also work in the industry, you know, so
Mhm.
finance still circles back to like finance with the way that
Yeah.
like Daria and Kenny reappeared and how like that one character from season 1 reappeared near the end when he was talking to
Yes.
Robert.
Greg, that guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the American. Yeah, the
Yeah.
little lab. Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like in one way or another, we're going to see all the characters again. So
I think so.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited to see. Yes. And guys, that's going to wrap up our discussion about Industry, seasons 1, 2, and 3. Don't forget to check it out on Max. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast episode with our last segment, which is Watch List, where we talk about movies and TV shows that we're excited to see that are coming out soon. One TV show I'm excited to watch is The Resident. I don't know if you have Netflix or if you heard of it. But
Oh yeah, Netflix.
okay. It's a medical drama on there, and the only reason why I want to watch it is because I finished watching the show called The Good Wife, which was a CBS sitcom that ran for a really long time, and one of the actors on The Good Wife became one of my favorite actors just because like how he plays the character in that show is so good. And he's the lead actor in The Resident. So I was like, I'm going to watch the show and see if this is any good. Because I really enjoyed his performance in The Good Wife. And I was like, I'm just going to keep on watching and see what I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similarly, my one that I want to watch is also a medical drama, The
Mm-hmm.
Pit. I'm
Oh
hearing so
my
many things about
gosh.
it. I've
Yes.
heard so many things about it, so many like good things, and people saying that it's one of the most realistic like depictions. And like I said before, I work in healthcare. Like I'm currently in medical school, and like to see, I used to watch things like Grey's Anatomy and House and
Mm.
all of those sort of shows, and like even things like The Resident. And like because I'm in that world, the unrealistic nature of the show kind of puts me off. But
Mm-hmm.
hearing from like healthcare professionals saying how accurate the pit is to what life is working, like what life is like working in a hospital. Obviously, it's in America, so it's different to like the British healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to watch it, so that's my next show to watch.
I have. I'm currently watching The Pit. I'm on episode 3.
Oh,
It's
okay,
very good. It's
yeah,
it is very intense and it's a lot. Like there are times where I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't like medical dramas like this. Like it shows like blood and guts. It does not hold back and I'm like,
I love
ooh.
that. That's great. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you're
that's
working in
great.
healthcare, so yeah, of
Yeah,
course. That doesn't bother you. Yeah.
no,
But I 100% enjoy the show. It's really, really good. I think the show follows a 15-hour shift, so every episode is 1 hour of a shift in the ER.
oh,
So
that's so interesting. Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
so
I
you're
love that
basically
concept.
just like following someone's full day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's so
So
good.
it is a lot of fun. I do encourage you. Like, I hope you really do like it.
Yeah.
There is a movie that's out right now that I have been really meaning to watch for a while. It's called The Amateur. It stars Rami
Yeah.
Malek.
Yeah.
Yes. I really want to go see it because I love Rami Malek. I was not a huge fan of Bohemian Rhapsody, but I really liked Mr. Robot. So I'm very
Mhm.
excited to
I love
see.
Mr. Robot. Yeah,
Yes. That was such a good show. I feel like
it's
not a
such
lot
a
of
good
people
show.
watched it.
No, I think because it was in the early days of Amazon Prime, like before it became like a bigger streaming service. It was like one of their first big original TV shows. I think like that and Man in the High Castle. So it didn't really get a lot of eyes. But yeah, it was good.
That's
I really
interesting
liked
because
it.
I think I watched it when it was on this network called USA, and it kind of started there. I didn't know that
Oh,
it was an Amazon Prime or
on,
like.
in the UK, it was Amazon Prime.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not making that up. But yeah, pretty sure in the UK, yeah, here it's on Amazon Prime.
How do you guys watch? How did you watch Suits, the show?
Well, Suits is on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
I've never watched Suits, but everyone I know who's watched this, it's on Netflix. Like all of the seasons are on Netflix.
In the UK?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because that was also a show that was on USA, and it wasn't that well known of a show. I
Mm.
mean, I guess it did have an audience, but I didn't realize that so many people in the UK watched the show until like Meghan Markle became engaged to Prince
Yeah.
Harry, and I was like, oh, so many
Yeah.
people watch that show? I didn't know that.
Everyone just knows her from Suits. Yeah.
That's crazy. Lydia, where can people find you if they want to, look you up on the internet somewhere?
So the only place that I'm really present is TikTok.
Hmm.
That's like the only social media that I use. So you can find me at Land of Lydia, all like one word. No special characters, literally Land of Lydia. Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, don't forget to check out Lydia on her TikTok. The link will be down below. Don't forget to check us out on all our social medias as well. Subscribe to the Patreon, subscribe to YouTube, and check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And I want to thank Lydia once again for coming on the pod. It was such a wonderful time talking to you about industry. I was so happy to have you on.
Honestly, thank you for having me on it. I just loved talking about it. Yeah,
Yes.
it was really good. Really fun.
Awesome. And guys, don't forget to tell your friends and family about your new favorite podcast. I've been meaning to watch that. I'm your host, Monica, and I'll see you guys next week with a new topic and a new guest like we do every single week. Bye.